We have our character lined. So now let's see how we add color. Let me just hide all of the previous layers. We have the line work done on its own layer. At this point, I'm just going to call this line uppercase, and we'll make a new layer beneath, and we'll call this one white. You'll see why in a moment. So let's select the line layer and pick the magic wand tool, and we can click away from the character in the negative space around it. And you can see the marching ants that now have selected the entire space there. If I go to the white layer now and we pick like a color white and I use the fill tool and fill in there, this is the area that's been selected. I'm going to undo that. That's clearly not what we want. So we go select inverse. It's now selected the area that is highlighted around the character. So this gives you a feeling for the next step of the process. We're not quite there yet. Let's just hit Control Z once. So we still have the marching ants selecting the character. Go back to the wand. Now we can hold down the Alt or Option key. Go back to the line layer. And if we select in these negative spaces here by holding down the Alt or Option key, you can see that we have now selected the entire area of white. Now if I fill that area again, it looks pretty good, but notice how it's bleeding over the edge. So we're just one more thing to do, and that is go select, modify, contract, and we're going to pull in the selection area. And you can contract it by as many pixels depending on your artwork as you think you need. Let's try 8, too many. Let's do that again, undo, contract, and this time 4. And now we have a very nice marching ant that's just about inside the area. It's not perfect, but let's just fill this and see on the white layer, and then Control D. I'm going to reselect the background, but I'm going to make like a dummy BG background. And let's find a sort of neutral looking background color. Dark green would be nice. And we'll fill that. And now we can travel around the character and look for little islands of white. And we can use the lasso tool. And on the white layer, we just delete them. Hit delete on the keyboard or Control X. And you're looking for these kind of V shapes. That tends to be where they stick out. And other than that, this is very clean. So that is one way to do it. What if you have a drawing that's very rough and you really can't do this? I'll make a new layer and hide that white one. You can also create this white mask by picking the lasso tool. And then you can use Shift to keep adding to that area as you draw. And in this case, I don't need to do it for this because the line was so clean. But if you're working with like a more artistic looking line, then this is often the way you will do it. It's also a way to select areas that you might not have selected properly. And now when we fill that, you can see that's the same thing. So I will delete that because we have a very good white layer here. And now we're going to add layers for color. This is the cool part. I will make one for the skin, one for the shirt, one for the trousers, one for the shoes. And let's name them first. So skin, shirt, trousers, and shoes. Very, very simple. Now holding down the Alt or Option key, you'll see this little, when I hover over the white layer, you'll see this little icon with an arrow. Click and do the same thing for all of them. And now these are masked. So if I, for example, pick the skin layer and then we choose a skin color, let's just pick whatever you like, brush tool, and you can either draw it like this, that's one way of doing it, or you can use the lasso tool. If it's a big area, you can do this. This is a very fast way to work. And you can use Alt or Option to subtract. And you can use Shift to add. And now if I fill that area, we have skin. And we can do the same thing for the hands. This time, just to show you the different ways of doing it, could come down to personal preference. I've used both. It just depends on the individual example. Sometimes the style or how loose I want to be. Or sometimes if I'm in a hurry, the lasso tool is very quick. There you go. And then the shirt. Now the shirt will go beneath the skin. So for example, if I use the brush tool and let's say we give him a blue shirt, this is where it gets very quick. I can draw like this and see how I'm drawing outside of the mask. I'm not trying to line it up with the outside. You see how quick that was. If I unmask that, you'll see this is the color area. So by holding down Alt Option and masking it inside the white layer, I'm containing all the colors. Let's say the trousers are a dark blue. I don't want to get too fancy with color schemes. Again, this is going beneath the shirt layer, so I can draw like this. And again, I'm not having to waste too much time precisely lining this up with the edge of the character. And then the shoes, we'll give them just darker shoes. They are going beneath the trousers. So again, see how quick that is? That's it. And let's switch off that BG. And there we go. This procedure, have a line layer, a white layer, and then you have your shoes, trousers, shirt, all your different elements. You can have a very complex character with all these different layers. If at any time you want to change the colors of any of these, let's say you want to change the shirt from blue to some other color, right click and go blending options, color overlay, and maybe you want to give them some weird teal color. That is how you structure the character with your white layer as a mask. And undo that because I like the blue. So you've got your mask layer, your line layer, and all your colors on separate layers. So you have maximum control and flexibility over the character artwork.